So moving on, what other types of connections goodness, took all that time to draw. Here is the 2500 series right in front of us. Take a look. So here is this express setup. Now the express setup is through the GUI. It's not difficult at all. Let's take a look at this, all right? Wired, we can connect the PC Ethernet cable to any port on the wireless LAN controller. So like I said, you connect up to this wireless LAN controller, and then you can use 192.168.1.1 in order to view. Wireless, we can connect an AP to the wireless LAN controller over port 3 or 4, and over either one of those ports, and have wireless access. So now we can use Cisco Air Provision, use the key password, and then we can set up the actual AP. Now, if we're using this wireless method, we have to wait for this wireless access point to get its power, to boot, to complete its service. So there's a lot that needs to take place there before we're able to connect. But this is a fast method in order to connect. Again, 192.168.1.1. That takes us to the actual HTTPS, where we can use the wizard to define the wireless LAN controller. Now, all of these options, the CLI, the wired approach, this wireless or express mode approach, allows us to configure certain items. Now, what can we configure? We can configure an SSID for the wireless LAN controller. So what network we're actually putting for it. We can set up our radius authentication. We can set up all the items for a wireless LAN controller. Now we're going to go through all those different configurations options available to us. But I just want to let you know, this is what we're doing. This is the initial configuration of our wireless LAN controller. Several different methods we talked about. The serial connection, the wired connection, or as you see here, this wireless connection. Now this wireless connection is on its own wireless SSID. You can see here, this SSID is right here. Gives you a password to set this up. So this is an initial SSID pre-configured right out of the box for configuration. We'll set up other SSIDs for data and things later. Okay, but this is just for the initial configuration, giving you the ability to even do this configuration, wirelessly. Now, like I said earlier, 192.168.1.1 is the HTTP. So meaning when you join this particular network, you're going to be on the 192.168.1.0 subnet /24, okay? So that's the subnet you're going to be using to access this. It's completely different from anything else. It resides wholly here, right? It won't be in your enterprise network. It won't be, there won't be a VLAN created for this, anything like that. No, this is just for the initial setup process. All right, so how does this work now? We've got to the GUI. We've used the wireless express process in order to get this. Well, first off, we're going to open our browser to 192.168.1.1. Now, sometimes you have to put the S at the end of this. Sometimes you don't, okay? Now we have to go through the setup wizard. We're going to put in our SSIDs for the wireless we're going to create. We're going to do different things. We're going to join our APs. We're going to have our configuration going. And then we're going to confirm the settings. One of the things you're going to do here is admin password and pass. We're going to set up, what else are we going to set up? Our SSID, our new ones. All the configuration settings are right here, and we'll dive into that a little bit more later. But once we're done with these settings, the wireless LAN controller is going to reboot automatically. Now, this is going to happen whenever you make changes to that wireless LAN controller or any of the SSIDs associated with it. You're going to make a change. It's going to want to restart that SSID. So in the future, know that if you make changes, you might lose connectivity for some of your users attached to that SSID for 20, 30 seconds or so. So this wireless express setup, their wireless LAN controller setup, we can change some of the parameters here. Our session timeout is disabled. We can change that. IE is not checked. Our AeroNet IE is not checked. Our profiling is enabled. Our ACLs are applied. Clean air, EDRMM is available, is enabled, which means clean air is what scans the different frequencies to see how clean they are. Nobody else is using them. Bonding, AVC, all of these things we're going to talk about in a little bit, but make sure you understand that this is where we're actually configuring our wireless LAN controller. Now, some of the things we're going to be asked to do is our system name, our DHCP server, our DNS. Link aggregation, yes or no. These are all things that you're going to see in your wizard, so be aware and be prepared when you're going through this process. If you have a radius server, the mobility group or radio frequency name. So there's lots and lots of different information that you're going to have before going into this process, all right? Wireless management here in our GUI, we're going to see whether or not we want HTTP or HTTPS. Our virtual IP address, this is useful if we have a lot of different wireless LAN controllers in our environment. And then RF group, the name is default by default.